We are looking at systems and processes. This is the final stage of our four-part journey where we have looked at systems and processes through the design process. Then we look specifically at procurement, and now we're looking at the bits that AI can help us with that would be most transformational for our businesses. So, quick introduction coming up, then a recap of the design process as we have visited it in this series. Then we're going to go through a demonstration of how to figure out how to set up in AI an engine that is going to generate your fee proposals for you going forward. Then I've got a couple of sort of bonus elements, which are within marketing, how I've enjoyed using AI um, recently. And then we'll go to Q&A. I have run this in the past for the BIID. So if you were on the most recent BIID webinar, this is essentially a recap of that content. So this is going to appear quite familiar. Okay, so I just wanted to check the framing of today's presentation, which is that it is very much intended for a sort of intermediate audience. If you are not regularly using AI, and I don't mean in a complex way, but I do mean consulting it, using it as a thinking partner, asking it questions. If that's not you, then you might quickly become a bit overwhelmed during today's presentation. So my apologies for that, but there just isn't time to run a primer on AI and then move into this material. So I am assuming a fairly sort of early stage competent level of AI understanding. I'm going to be demonstrating several applications in AI, and I am going to share with you all the resources I used. So when I start referencing documents today, I can share all of that material with you. So don't panic. It can all come your way. However, these are bespoke applications for your business. Okay, so I can't give you a version that is customized to your business. So that level of customization will have to be done by you as part of the process. And the process allows for that, but we're going to have to be fairly comfortable with AI in order to get through that. So the process that we're going to follow today, which is the one that could be applied for AI across all of these different applications in your business. First stage is setting up a fixed layer, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is things like your studio identity, the rates you charge, your studio's tone of voice, your processes, your standards. These are held permanently within the project. And then you consult the project with each new event. You bring the new event to the project. You tell the project the specifics of this particular event, which might be relating to the client, relating to the project, relating to the scope or a specific brief that you've been given. And in the case of the fee proposal that we're going to look at, what you need to do for this is you fill in an intake form, which I will give you. You pop that into your project, and all of the work that's been done by the fixed layer generates the fee proposal. So this will make more sense when we've been through the process together, and we will embark on that in a moment. Okay, now in systems and processes 1 and 2, we looked at the design process in two halves, front end, back end, and we stopped to look at all of the systems and processes of an interior design business delivering services to residential clients. And that was the work of the first two webinars. And I said, as we went through it, that there were certain activities that naturally lent themselves to being ideal for AI integration. So here we have the entire design process again. This is as defined by REBA or by the BIID. We have pre-engagement, which is the bit before the client before you have an awareness of the client where they're seeing your marketing materials, but you don't yet know about them. Then we get into the initial inquiry, we're in the discovery phase, and things like lead qualification, discovery call checklists, this kind of thing are ideal for being built with AI integration. Again, within the feasibility and appointment stage, where you're having the preliminary meeting, you're producing a scope and a fee proposal for your client, and you're presenting that. This is what we're going to look at today. Okay, this is the work of today's webinar, and all of this is perfectly aligned to AI integration. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. Moving on from that, once we get into taking the brief, providing a definitive brief, the same approach that we take to the fee proposal part that we look at this morning can be applied to the briefing stage. Similarly, indicative budget, budget presentation, again, this is somewhere else that AI can be very useful. And I was just saying at the beginning of the presentation that I've got some new materials on indicative budget calculation, and I'm going to be sharing those with my newsletter readers over the weekend. So that this is an extra piece of work that is coming to you. And when you see the indicative budget materials, you'll see just how AI could help you with those as well. We then move on to developing the design, and things like our meeting minutes, the actions from those, again, absolutely ripe for AI integration. Within technical design, the production of our schedules, specifications, schedules of work, calculating and presenting the full project investment, tender packs, working with contractors, comparing contractor invoices one against the other when they look, unrecognizably related to one another. This is just the kind of thing that AI is brilliant at. Working with your clients during construction, during the actual implementation of the project, things like meeting minutes, action logs, again, ripe for AI integration. And then things like snagging when we get towards the end of the project, and also maintenance and care packs at the very end of the project, also ideal for AI integration. So I'm about to embark on a high wire act. Okay, brace yourselves. I hope you've had lots of coffee. I'm going to try and take it slowly. I will take questions at the end. I'm going to give you all of the documentation that I talk about now as we go through how to set up a fee proposal using AI, or using AI to help us generate our fee proposals in future. So here's what you need. In order to make an engine, an AI engine that going forward generates draft fee proposals for you, the ingredients you need an AI account. I'm going to be talking about Claude. ChatGPT operates in a similar way. Obviously, there are other systems as well, but I love Claude, and Claude is the system I choose to work with. The second thing you're going to need is what I'm calling a studio context layer. Now, this is something that AI will help you make, and it's going to be based on a form that I'm going to give you. Okay, so I'm going to give you a blank form, you fill it in for your studio, and then AI makes that layer for you, and that becomes part of the ingredients for this recipe. Number 3 is a fee calculator spreadsheet. I've got a new one to talk to you about. I'm going to give that to you, and that similarly is going to, once you can amend it, you can make your own, maybe you have your own. That too is one of the ingredients that is going to go into this AI recipe. Ideally, you will have 3 historical examples of fee proposals that you've generated in the past that you feel are competent, that you feel are nothing that's nothing that doesn't work or doesn't add up, things that you feel have been, you know, past at least a standard of good. Now, some of you I know are newer designers. You might not have three, so it might be two, it might be one, you might not have one. So we're just building with what we've got. You use what you've got. Then your terms and conditions get thrown into the pot. Um, and you have to have these, and they have to be generated for you by a lawyer because they have to be specific to your business, and all of your paperwork needs to be sort of cross-checked to make sure that they're all consistently aligned. So terms and conditions go in. The final ingredient is going to be a new client intake form. And again, I have that for you. So I'll talk you through the process. Once we've done the work once, going forward, the only thing you need is the new client intake form. Okay, everything else is held by AI. AI does all of the thinking and the drafting. You just tell it about your new client. That's all you will have to do. Right. Okay, now this is like very serious warning, and this applies to all of your work with AI. Before you start, set up a folder on your own system called something like AI Fee Proposal Project. And as you go, make sure that you save every document on your own system in this folder. So you have the whole project ready to replicate in case it gets lost. Okay, in case you lose your account or AI deletes it or whatever, you know that you can replicate the work because you saved everything that you had. All of your assets are saved somewhere that you can find them. So this is something that you should do every time you work with AI in a meaningful way like this. I have got what I'm about to take you through. I've got a how-to step-by-step guide, like a document that is illustrated and that references all the other stuff that we're going to talk about. And that is going to be part of the pack that I can share with you to help you do this for yourself. Okay, so all of this is going to be clearly explained in the how-to document. Okay, so now the method. We looked at the ingredients. Now we're going to come to the method. Okay, so step one of our method is you need an AI account. And within your account, you're going to set up a new project. So I'll show you what that looks like. Now, this is a screenshot. I think I delivered this to the BIID 3 or 4 weeks ago. Since then, the Claude interface has changed again. This is what it looked like a couple of weeks ago. It's not much different, but it has changed a little bit. So Claude, we are going to projects. We're setting up a new project. And when you click on projects, this is the screen view that you'll get. So we are in projects and we are going to set up a new project. When I click the new project button, this is the screen that I see. It asks for a name for the project and it asks for a description. So this is to help us understand what's going on within this bucket of stuff that we're generating off to one side within our AI system. So in this case, I've called the project AI Assisted Fee Proposal Generation, and I've given it a very brief description of what we're doing, which is set up a project to handle fee proposal calculation and drafting. So that is the purpose of this project. This is the engine that we're making. We're making a tool, and the job of this tool is just to help us with drafting our fee proposals. Now, once it's set up, this is what it looks like. All I've done is click enter, and here we are. We now have a project which is called AI Assisted Fee Proposal Generation. And within the project view, and the ChatGPT project view looks similar to this. It's similar process, same stages. We have these different areas within projects that we can where we can put stuff. So there is an area where we can upload instructions, there is an area where we can upload files, and there is the chat area that that which is where we're sort of just dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. Now, I can see that the model that I was running on when I set this up was Sonnet 4.6, which is uses a low amount of token. So I have tokens that I own as part of my subscription, and I pay for my AI usage with these tokens. And depending on the model that I choose to work with, more of these tokens get gobbled up or fewer, depending on how hefty the model is. Now, just recently, I've been working with Fable 5, which is the highest, most hungry, token hungry part of Claude. And of course, it's phenomenal and it is an incredible thinking partner. And I have enjoyed working with it, but it can have a tendency to overcomplicate things. So it's it's worth experimenting here with the model that you're working with. Obviously, when I did this, I did the whole thing on quite a low grade model. I was using Sonnet 4.6 and it worked perfectly. So you might get different outcomes depending on which of Claude's models you choose to collaborate with. And it could be that Fable is brilliant, or it could be that Fable tries to make this whole process too complicated. So if you get that outcome, that could be the reason why. Okay, so we are now on part 2 of our method, of our recipe. So the second part, we've set up the project, and now we are going to upload the very first part of our documentation. And it is what I'm calling your studio context. It is a fixed set of truths about your studio. It is the values and the processes and the practices of your studio. This information is extracted from you when you fill in your studio profile form. So I'm going to give you, as part of the pack, you'll have your how-to document. You're going to have a blank studio profile form. You fill this in, you put it through AI as a separate activity, and AI, as a result of that, will generate a studio context layer. So the studio context layer is the outcome of having uploaded your studio profile form and got AI to analyze and to synthesize that into the context layer. So it's a 6-page document. I ask you, or it asks you, about your practice, about your projects, about your fee model, about your proposal structure and voice, and anything else that you feel is relevant to share so that the system knows you and knows your practice well enough that it can produce accurate fee proposals for your clients. So the context layer is the output of filling in the questionnaire, which is the studio profile form. And I can share as well a demo completed studio profile. Okay, so all of this is in the pack of documentation that you can follow to do this for yourself. I also can share the studio context layer that comes out of the form that I've uploaded. And here is where we put it. So we take the resultant studio context layer and we upload it. We hit the plus button in the instructions field and we upload it in the instructions field. That is the first document saved to your project. Okay, so we're now underway. We're under steam. We've got a document. The studio context layer is up in instructions. Okay, so the next thing that you have to give it is a way of actually calculating a fee. So this is based on how you calculate your fees. Now, you might have a fee calculation spreadsheet. I have given away fee calculation spreadsheets before. I'm now going to offer you another one, an updated one. It's the one you can see a tiny shot of the screen, and I'm going to look at it with you in Excel right now. But I wanted to let you know how I made it. I realize this is quite a complicated journey that we're on, but hopefully you can watch it again. I am recording this. I'll check that I am recording it. But yes, I believe I am recording this. So, here's the prompt that I used with my old fee calculation spreadsheet to generate the one that I'm going to discuss with you now. So I said to AI, I want to test this model from different perspectives. This is the fee proposal, the old Excel spreadsheet that I had that I uploaded. Some clients press, some clients, that's you, designers, my clients are interior designers. Some interior designers price fee proposals by the room. Small and simple, medium and more complex, large and high degree of difficulty, some by the square meter, and I'd like to explore this. So I uploaded the spreadsheet that I had, first part of which was calculating by the hour. And basically, this is the prompt that I gave to AI in order to generate the spreadsheet that I'm going to show to you now. So temporarily, I'm going to stop sharing this presentation. And I'm going to come back into the meeting room and I'm going to share an Excel spreadsheet. And somebody shout at me if you can't see it. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you are seeing it. So this is the new fee proposal Excel calculator that I'm working from. Let's have a look at it. It is based on an hourly rate. All of this, by the way, is overwritable, so you can change it to reflect the information that relates to your situation. So we have your rate, the hourly rate, and I'm assuming a 7-hour working day, which makes your day rate 7 times your hourly rate. This spreadsheet comes at fee proposal calculation from different angles. So it's thinking about it this way, but it's also thinking about it that way. So it's not just, one way of doing it. It's trying to be flexible and open-minded about how we generate our fees, how we calculate our fees. So in this case, I have got rooms that we all know are going to be lighter weight for us to design, and rooms where the design burden is going to be more substantial. So we have simple rooms, we have standard rooms, we have complex rooms. And at the beginning of the fee calculation, I've decided of the client's 14 rooms, 3 of them qualify as simple, 6 qualify as standard, and 5 of them are complex. They come with a high degree of personalization, customization. So that's a decision. These blue cells are decisions that I've made about a particular project as demonstrated in this proposal. Then what I've done is I've set up a schedule of how long I think it's going to take me, depending on whether a room is simple, a room is medium, or a room is complex, how long it's going to take me to do the things that I have to do in each room in order to design it. So the survey in a simple room is half an hour. In a standard room, it's 0.8 of an hour. In a complex room, it takes me an hour. Plans and elevations, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. Spatial planning, 1 hour, 1.5, 4. And these are all just averages, they're rule of thumb averages to the amount of time that it takes to do these various tasks. So these are the amounts of time that are being spent on the project, room by room, doing very specific design tasks, and they accrue room by room. So if I added another room, there would be an additional amount needed to be added to the fee proposal to accommodate for the fact that we now have a new room. There are other bits of the project that don't accrue room by room. They are general project admin. And when you add or subtract a room, it doesn't make that much of a difference. The admin is the admin, it has to be done. That is things like taking the brief, making a concept for the whole project, the amount of meetings that you're going to have, the number of phone calls that you might have to make, the hours of revision that you're prepared to allow within the project. So here we had the room by room costs. Here we have the general project overhead costs. This is a separate part of the calculation. And then we have whole project items. So things like estimating costs, schedules of work, these are things that may or may not apply for this particular project, and we can adjust on a project by project basis depending on whether or not they come in. So our fee summary is the project overheads for this given project, the per room design work, which was based on 14 rooms, and it was based on 3 simples, 6 standards, and 5 complex, with the hourly allocations identified here. So we end up with general project stuff, the actual room by room design fees, and then the extra documentation that is required to make the project happen. And we end up with a total design fee of £42,000 with an average fee per room of £3,000. Okay, so we can see that. Now, this spreadsheet then benchmarks, it cross-checks, it tells me that per square meter, I'm working out at about a design fee of £214 per square metre. And I have told the system that 80 to 150 is the norm. So I can now think about that and wonder if I have overcharged. I'm also looking at this, an assumed project cost of £200 of expenditure with me, £200,000 expenditure with me, which is an amount that I can adjust. So this is adjustable within the calculation. And that tells me that actually my design fee is going to be 21% of this construction, of this FF&E implementation pack. That is high, okay, because most designers report that their design fees are between 6 and 16% of the project value to them. So at 20%, again, it's coming in high. So I can start to think about exactly what that means for the fees that I'm charging, and I can just cross-check that I'm roughly in the right rate. I don't want to get into this too much. This is like a sideshow. But this is the fee calculating document that is going to come as part of the pack. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to go back to the presentation, which is here, and continue with this. Okay, so we edit the fee calculation. We put in our hourly rate, not the one that I've put in, but the one that you charge. You edit that. You edit the time allowances based on how your business operates. So maybe you disagree with me in terms of how long it takes you to do the various things that you do. Maybe you want to delete some of those lines because they're not part of your service offering. Maybe you want to add some lines because you're going to be doing some extra bits and pieces. So you edit this calculator spreadsheet so that it is true for your business, or maybe you have your own. Maybe you have your own calculator spreadsheet, and you upload that. Okay, so this is going to go into the files area. So our studio context went into instructions. The fee proposal, our fee proposal master calculator is going to go into the files area. So document 2 is now saved to your project. So we have the studio context has been uploaded to instructions, and a fee calculation spreadsheet, mine or yours, has been added to files. That's what we've done so far. Then, also in the files area, you don't need to, there's no narrative that needs to go with this. You don't need to tell the system anything about it. We are just uploading. We're just uploading documentation. I suggest that you upload 3 examples of fee proposals that you have shared with clients in the past. So we put 3 examples here under files. And you add your terms and conditions. So assuming you have a nice document drafted for you by a lawyer that contains all of your terms and conditions, that goes up into the files area as well. And that's it. Okay, now I know this is complicated and I know there are little side rivulets going off from here, but that is it. Your fee proposal generator is complete. And this is the same process that you would use for all kinds of different AI generation tools that you can make. Okay, so now we have a new client. Client turns up, we have our shiny generation engine. We want to take it out on the road, give it a run. How do we do this? New client, generating tool. We fill in a new client intake form. And that's part of the pack as well. So we have the new client intake form. You can see an overview of it here. And I can share a demo too of a filled in version. This filled in version, by the way, was made by AI. As you can imagine, almost everything here has been made by me in association with AI. So a lot of this stuff is AI generated as well. So the filled in version looks like it's got client data in it, but it doesn't. It's all completely fabricated. It's just there for you to see an example. The new client intake, so how we use our engine. This project sits, its only purpose is to help us to make fee proposals. It sits waiting on us to introduce a new client. When the time comes to introduce the new client, we fill in a form and then we use the chat box to make it happen. So we upload the form using the plus in the chat box, and in the text, all we write is, please generate a fee proposal based on the uploaded project intake form. That's all you have to do. So we fill in the form, you upload it to the system, you ask the system to make a fee proposal, and your fee proposal will be generated. And I will share a demonstration example. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now okay, so the one I will share with you is quite syrupy. Okay, it's not how I would speak to a client of mine. It's very sucky, and so I'm not happy with that. What I need to do is I need to go back and look at the studio context form that I uploaded, because I obviously didn't give sufficient instruction not to be too fawning. Okay, not to be too fawning. So there's an area of editing needed at the studio context layer because it's come out too sucky. However, it's really good. It's really good. It is the worst of the fee proposal generation part has been done. But I do see when I read the finished output that there are some tweaks that need to be made to the instructions to bring it more in line with an output that I would like for my business. But there we go. Then we take this somewhat functional document and we cut and paste its sections and we put the sections into a beautiful template, because our fee proposals are something that we present to our clients. They're a presentation, they should look beautiful, they should come um, interrupted by promotional material about our businesses in the nicest possible way. And so what we're doing is we're taking the content of this and we're cutting and pasting it and putting it into a beautiful template. And obviously, for those of you who have recently invested in the White Label Studio, which is coming in September, these templates are going to be included as part of all of the other materials that are coming to you. Okay, so as I said, I'm also going to share with you an AI generated workbook telling you exactly how to do all of this. So all of these various documents are going to come in a pack. And because this is a large pack, I'm going to ask you to email me if you want it. Okay, so my email address is on the screen. Please tell me when you write to me what it is that you want. So tell me that you want the AI proposal generation tool pack, or something along those lines, and I will give you access to the folder that has all of that stuff in it. It's too complicated to disperse it in bits and pieces. The other thing is, to be completely frank, if you do email me and ask me, I'm going to put you onto my contact list, and I will occasionally send you marketing materials which you can unsubscribe from at any point. But part of my motivation for doing this is to help build my mailing list. So that's the quid pro quo. Okay, so as I have said before, please make sure that you save everything you produce in order to create this project in duplicate on your own system. You need to have backup files, because it's just too easy for a project to go missing from your AI account and you'd be a bit stuffed. So make sure that you've got everything in duplication. So as we said, with AI development of this nature, there are two parts. There is the fixed layer that we set up in the files and instructions when we decide to make a helper, an AI member of staff that deals with a very specific problem in our business. So we set up the fixed layer once. It's our studio identity, our rates, our voice, our process, our standards, and it's held permanently within the project. And it's the studio's intellectual property in its own processes. So that sits there permanently. Each time you need to use it, you introduce the variable layer. And the variable layer is specific to a particular client, to a particular project, to a particular scope, to a particular brief. And in this case, we are supplying it via an intake form that you fill in for each individual client. Now, this intake form might take you 20 minutes. So what you're doing is each time you have a client that you want to generate a fee proposal for, you take 20 minutes to fill in a form, you upload that to the fee proposal generator, and out pops something that is pretty much fit for purpose but might need a gentle edit. And it definitely needs you to check it to make sure that the assumptions that it's working on are correct for your business, because, you know, stuff happens. So that's how that works. And there is my email address again, if you want me to send you the stuff that I've been talking about as part of today's presentation. Okay, now how are we doing for time? Okay, I'm just going to very quickly run through a couple of extra marketing uses for AI that I've been finding helpful for myself and for my clients recently. So this is by way of a bit of light relief. The first of these is critiquing your website, and this I have found incredibly helpful for myself as well as my clients. And the second one is generating brand themes, which again, for marketing purposes, is really powerful. So the first one, exercise one, is getting AI to critique your website. And the method by which we do this is you collect the web addresses of 5 top-end interior design websites that you find inspirational. So the websites that you would aspire to emulate. There is a second version of this where you focus instead on your local competition. So you could critique yourself compared to your competition, or you could critique yourself compared to excellent performance at the top level of our industry. Choice is yours. We get those 5 web addresses. I'm going to give you these prompts. They're part of the package. But basically, you put in a prompt that tells the AI that what you want it to do is critique a website based on best practice for interior design websites. That's basically what we're telling it. Then we give it the first URL. We give it the first URL, we give it all the other URLs, and then once it has critiqued the 5, we tell it that we're going to give it a 6th, and we want it to compare the 6th one to the performance of all the previous 5 and against what we would expect as excellence within interior design practice. And you will get a very blunt analysis and critique of your website that tells you the top changes that you should ideally make to push your website closer to best practice. So it is a really helpful way of critiquing your public-facing materials. So that is example 1. The second one, which is generating brand themes, is something that I do one-on-one with clients. And this is more of a challenging, sort of longer project for you to do one evening or whatever with AI. But again, I've got some prompts that I can share with you as part of the package from this presentation to guide you through a conversation with your preferred AI system that will generate effectively brand themes or brand pillars for your business. It will help you to see what is unique and interesting about your business and the themes that you should be discussing frequently as part of your marketing materials. And it brings in, having that level of insight is really helpful. I have found it incredibly helpful. So in this case, the first step would be to set up a new project. So we know about setting up projects called brand pillars, and paste in the prompt that is provided, that I can provide you with, into the chat. Engage with, so that prompt tells AI to ask you questions. All you then do is answer the questions that the AI asks you. So the prompt tells it what to do, and then it does it with you. Ideally, the next stage for this would also be to collect client testimonials. Ideally 10 or more client testimonials that describe what is great about you and the services that you offer. And that goes into the files area of the project. Then we cut and paste a second prompt that I'm going to give you into the chat within the same project, and the AI will generate your suggested brand themes. And here are the ones that it came up with for my business. And I really love them. I think they're fantastic. So I've got 5 pillars that it has identified for me, picking out why, or the ways in which my services are different from my competition. Being intentionally slow, taking a calm approach, putting the emphasis on the founder, making sure that everything is evidence-based, and coming from a position of deep expertise in the various sectors. So those are the brand pillars that are true for my business and that have enabled to help me with my marketing. So one thing I just wanted to mention to you before we finish up is to talk to you about my course that is coming in September, which is a live course led by me with once a week attendance online for an hour and a half. It's all of the stuff that you didn't learn in design school. So I'm assuming that the designers, the fledgling designers or novice designers who come on this course have been taught the design process, but they are now looking to get a better handle on the business of design. So Business in a Box is coming in September. It has two key parts: building the business, planning the business, getting your marketing services and pricing in place, and then making sure that you have all the systems and processes to run that business smoothly. So there are those two parts, but all of it is done live online with a small peer group, up to 12 designers, and that is going to be running from September through to December for 12 weeks this autumn. And you can see information about that on my website, which is Recipe for a Room. There is an early bird currently running on that, which prices it at £8.90, and that is going to end on the 31st of July. So that's for anybody who might be interested in getting a little bit more rigor behind the businesses of their interior design practice. Anyway, oh my goodness, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to open the floor to questions. I'm slightly scared. Um, does I'm did that make any sense at all? It did. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Would anybody like to ask anything about um, what we've just been through?
It's been fantastic. I just want to say thank you, Julia. I've missed the last one. It's super helpful. I I'm really curious for the documents, especially the one that is the prompt that helps us generate our tone of voice, because we want our fee proposals to be really sounding unique. Is that, and that there was a document, right, that you
Well,
had
that
coming?
actually, I have to confess, Claudia, that is the thing I felt the document did worst. Because when it produced the fee proposal for me in the trial that I ran of it, like I said, it was too sycophantic. It was really fawning, it was really sucky uppy. And that flaw comes from the studio context. So that comes from, the very first document is a form that you fill in about your studio.
Yeah.
And so the important thing to do there is when it asks you about tone of voice, to give it a really thorough briefing.
So how do we brief that?
Well,
Is
I
it
would,
best to say, is it best to give past examples? Because
yes,
I've written,
yes,
dozens
yes,
and dozens of these, and
yes,
just say, read my previous ones
yes.
and adopt that tone.
Yes, that is exactly right. When I did it, I don't have any recent fee proposals to put in. So when it generated a fee proposal from me, the only reference material it had was the studio context form. It
Mm,
didn't have any examples. So when you put your examples in, that should help enormously.
okay.
Okay. But you can always change that. Just make sure that you really beef up that studio context and you tell it how important it is that the tone of voice, like imagine you were briefing a junior, imagine you were briefing someone who was going to be doing it for you in your office. Just think about what you would tell them and put that into the studio context.
Yeah. And one more question. So really the fee calculator is still something that we still need to go through that spreadsheet in quite a lot of detail, with how many rooms, is it a simple standard complex room?
No, because that's in the client briefing form. So
Oh,
when you
uh,
do the final form that goes into the chat
okay.
asks you how many simple rooms, how many medium rooms, how many complex rooms. It asks you about this particular client
Yeah.
and it asks you to give all of that information, not to work it out, but just to describe that client's project. And then it changes everything just for the new client that you've put in through the intake form.
And how does it deal with things like, when you take a client briefing and everybody wants something, you know, obviously like somebody has marble bathrooms and they say, well, these need to be repolished. So you got and then they have, we don't need to redo the bathrooms. We just need to, repolish but so and then they have this in the kitchen and they want to maybe put in a new fridge and it's almost like they're these bits and pieces. We're not doing a whole new kitchen. It's just a lots and lots of, can we do this and can we do this and all these bits, and then is that a simple, standard, or complex room? And how do you account for that sort of workflow?
Uh, well, maybe maybe you need to make adjustments for your studio to the Excel spreadsheet, the fee calculation spreadsheet. Maybe you need to adjust that. Do you know what? I would put that I'm going to give you an Excel spreadsheet for calculating fees. Okay? Before you do anything else, I would suggest you upload my fee spreadsheet to AI and you say, I'm not sure this works for my studio because sometimes clients say this, sometimes they say that, sometimes we have to do the other, blah, blah, blah. What you just said, and give the problem to AI and get AI to make you a fee proposal spreadsheet that works for your studio.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's a pre piece of work that you could do. Then you make a Claudia Dorsch unique bespoke fee proposal spreadsheet that you end up happy with, and that's what goes into your fee generation engine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Thank you.
no problem.
Julia,
Yeah, Sonia, and then Anne
just
Marie.
hello. Thank you. Honestly, Julia, the value that you bring every single time and just the sheer material is just incredible. So thank you. Just on this spreadsheet, the fee calculation one. First of all, if you put it into Claude and ask it to generate one for your own business, will it include the formulas as well?
I don't. I. So what it's going to do is it's going to spit out a document that just says, X for this, Y for that, X for this, Y for that, but there won't be any formulas in the actual document that it spits out. Is that what you
Okay.
mean, Sonia?
Yes, yeah, because I'm sure you've probably got formulas built in which give the
Yes.
samples at the bottom, but I
Yeah.
didn't know whether,
No,
AI would
it's no,
pick
what it's
that.
not, it's going to spit out the thing that goes to the client,
Okay,
not the thing that is internal for your business.
okay, all right. And then the other question I had was where you'd put at the bottom, there was a percentage. It was like, was it 21 point
Oh
something?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So on the basis that it could spit out, okay, it's too high based on what's the average and also what you know that the client's prepared to spend.
yeah.
What do we do in those
Okay.
circumstances? Because obviously
So
we need to make money,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
do
yeah.
we then compromise?
No, so I think this is where my presentation isn't completely clear. Um, the new client intake form
Yeah.
that you fill in for each new client
Mm.
asks you roughly what their budget is going to be.
Okay.
Now, in my original spreadsheet, the budget was 200,000. But when you fill in your new client intake form, you will
Yeah.
put in what you think the budget is going to be for that project.
Okay.
Julia, can I just ask a quick question on that? So just use that 200 as an example. Is that for the FF&E or is that
Yes.
for the construction
No,
part as well?
that is for the bit, well, that's for the bit that your business is in charge of. It could be that there's an architect who's doing all the construction and your business is in charge of FF&E. Or it could be that you're taking on the entire project, that there is no other adult in the room, you are the adult in the room, and therefore the amount of money is the entire project and not just the FF&E. So it depends on, you know, how involved you are going to be in this project. But let's say, for simplicity, just going back to Sonia's question, it was the FF&E amount that goes into the new client intake form, and your fee would be cross-checked as a percentage of that budget. If it comes out too high, so if your client has 100 grand to spend and your fees are coming out at 30 grand, there's no way a client with a budget of 100 grand is going to spend 30 grand on design fees. So basically, you're speccing the project. I think you're over speccing your design services for that client in that project. So you probably ought not to find yourself in that position. Ideally, your client's budget will be aligned with the services that you propose to offer to them. So, if a client has a low budget, you're going to go in with consultancy or maybe with blocks of hours. If a client has a higher budget, then you're going to be offering full design service, which involves all of this stuff, but it comes out as a better aligned percentage compared to the client investment. Does that answer your question, Sonia?
Yes, I think so. Yes, thank you. Because what did you say that typically
Yes, so the BIID
yeah.
said in a survey in 2019, the BIID said that the designers who said they charged percentage of client budget, and they were a minority of designers charged by percentage of client budget, they reported that they charged, I think, between 6 and 18% or 6 and 19%. And Holly, that comes back to your question, because the clients who were doing, let's say, just the design were charging perhaps a lower percentage of the overall budget. And the clients who were then going on to charge, to look at more of the construction side of things, were charging a higher percentage of budget. So there are those decisions to make. I think we probably need to look at fee proposals and charging again. Anne-Marie, I'm sorry, Sonia, does that cover you?
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you.
Sorry, Anne-Marie, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Julia. This is brilliant. Really interesting. I was just looking at the design fee. So the 6 to 16%, would that be, back to Holly's point, I guess, would that be a percentage of the total cost of the project?
So that's this, I think that's sort of the question that Holly was asking. Oh God, I really could do with running like fees and charging again. So I feel like I'm going to open a can of worms. Increasingly, I am seeing, I'm going to wish I hadn't said this. Increasingly, I am seeing designers charge an initial concept fee to bash out the look of the project, the look and feel of the project. That is the concept fee. Then there is a separate fee so that's like the concept stage. Then there's a separate fee for developed design and technical design. That comes as an extra fee, and that is calculated when the designer and the client have figured out the concept, because then you know exactly what you're getting into. You have a better understanding of the scope of the project because you've done the concept, theoretically. So your design fee covers concept, it covers developed design, and it covers technical design. That's your design fee. Thereafter, you get into implementation, procurement, and I would argue you get into hourly rates. So it's no longer part of your design fee. The project is birthed, it's going into the world, and we get into hourly rates and handling charges and that kind of thing. So it's like a cutoff. So the actual percentage of project value fee relates just to, does it though?
Because I've kind of worked previously on a approximate 10% of the total value.
Yeah.
Total value of a project, including construction, including kitchen, hard finishes, design, everything say that's 250.
Yeah.
I've kind of worked on a 10% design fee, which it kind of works out
Yes.
about that right.
Yes.
And that for me, that includes discovery, concept, detailed, and then as you say, the next bit is hourly.
I agree with you 100%. And when I hear people talking about that, I hear 10 to 12%.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
yeah, and so the cross check is when you look at what you're proposing to charge, what is that as a percentage of the total budget? And does it look top heavy or does it look like you're undercharging? You know, it's just like a way of benchmarking to make sure that you are
On the right.
in the right ballpark. Yeah. So no, I totally agree with you, Anne Marie. I think I'm 100% there with that.
Wasn't actually my question. My question was very quickly, what version of Claude would you recommend?
Okay. I can't, okay. I tried doing, so I love Fable. And okay, but Fable is a, it's the new one that it's hungry and it's only available. They keep extending. I think now they're saying it's available until the 19th of July. They keep extending it. I don't know. It's fabulous. However, I did get it to do something recently, the last week, and oh my God, it just made it so complicated. It was an absolute nightmare. It was overthinking. It overthinks. And I worry that Fable would overthink this. This is a perfect example of just the kind of thing that Fable might overthink.
Yeah.
It's worth trying because if it does it well, it'll be mind-blowing.
I was wondering, have you run it on both just to
I
see?
haven't run it on Fable because I literally started using Fable last week and I just haven't had a chance to try it yet. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask you to be a bit of a guinea pig with that, but I have run it on a lower level, like an Opus or a Sonnet or something like that, and it works perfectly. So you're perfectly safe running it on a lower level, a lower grade
Version.
model.
Yeah.
Fable might blow your mind or it might be a complete nightmare. I'm sorry, I don't know which way it would go.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. And also very, very quickly, are all these documents part of the white label?
Yes, yes, they are. But for you, there are people here who are members of my accountability groups, and I will share everything with you. So if you're a member of an accountability group, don't worry, I will share the entire folder with you, and that's coming your way.
Amazing. Thank you, Julia. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, thank you for taking it all in such good spirit. And